in Budapest after the fall of the Soviet Union, or a late-night club in Tuscany?
The Rebels in Chiapas or neighborhood tavern in Chicago?
Or war-torn Bosnia? The best conversations were always over a bottle of beer. I'm W.C. Turk, Chicago author and activist.
And I'm Brian Murray of Permacult.tv.
And this is the Revolution in Beer chef, A.J. Francisco.
We're going to have some food in here in a minute. So, hey, guys, It looks like the bar is open.
Come on in, guys.
Let's get it done.
Cheers.
Welcome to the Revolution in Beer Show. Thanks for joining us again. We thought we'd settle things down just a little bit. Last week we had a really spirited discussion about fracking with some great guests.
That was really informative stuff.
It was incredible. It was incredible. So coming up over the next couple of weeks on the shows to follow, we're going to be talking women's issues with folks from Women and Children First. We're also going to be talking corporate tax transparency and finding out why corporations, or some corporations in the state, are not paying their fair share in taxes. We'll also be talking with Tom Tresser from the tax increment illumination project, which is more local. Find out what's happening to our tax dollars. When we're closing schools and cutting benefits in this state, corporations are not paying their fair share of taxes, or taxes are being siphoned from our property values to be used elsewhere and not going to the community, schools in particular. So we'll want to check up on that, talk to those good folks, and we want you to weigh in as well. Find us on revolutionandbeer.com. One of the things we want you to do in this show is become interactive and join us in the conversation. Throughout the show, we'll have links that you can follow along. Don't take our word for anything. Find out for yourself. Do the homework for yourself. Make those decisions on your own. But we'll also have links to ways that you can get involved and get active in the community and make a difference here. We will also, big show today, we're going to be talking to A.J. Francisco, the Revolution in Beer chef.
Yep.
We're going to be talking beer and food.
And we're sitting here in this lovely restaurant right now.
We are. A.J.'s a brilliant chef, trained at Le Cordon Bleu. So we're going to be talking south of the border fare with him, and including this nice little number, which is a south of the border Latin-inspired ale. It's got a nice hoppiness to it.
Yeah, it's very sweet. Goes down smooth. Some citrus elements there.
And a little bit of grapefruit.
Yeah, it's it's got the hops for sure, but it doesn't knock you down with it, which is what I like.
It makes you know that you're drinking a beer. So one of the questions we're asked all the time is why Revolution in Beer? What is Revolution in Beer all the time? What are we doing out here? Brian, actually, you had some brilliant thoughts on that, so I'm going to throw it over to you.
Well, I always find it funny. People say, "Oh, you don't talk about politics in a bar." But as we're watching all these things happening in our, as we're watching all these things happen on a national level, on an international level, all politics is local, and we find ourselves increasingly cut out of the information stream. We don't have a seat at the table. So where do people come together? Well, they come together in bars. They come together as communities in various places. This is one of the most free-flowing environments we can think of. You find a good bar, it's nice and laid back. You get to know the guy that runs the place, the gal that runs the place, the bartenders. You can actually have a civil, consensual conversation about politics. If you don't jump into the demagoguery and the various political terms that people have knee-jerk reactions to, then you can get right down to the issues. And I find in every case that you do that, average working class people actually have a lot of good ideas about how to do things. So we want to help encourage that kind of interaction and help build a movement out of it.
Absolutely, and that's the revolution part. The beer part and the food part, coming up here in just a bit, there are a lot of beers out there. Not to mention the brands, but the various kinds of kinds of beer, stouts and ales and wit beers and alt beers, and it can be pretty daunting if you're not sure about what you're looking for, and about food pairing. So one of the things that we want to do is we want to be able to help folks make smart decisions. You're going to pluck down $14, $15 for a bottle of wine. You can do that with a nice bottle of beer and still get the same experience. Sometimes a better
Or a
experience.
6-pack of beer, depending on what kind of beer you buy.
So exactly. So that's, we really want to come to this from a couple of different points. And honestly, there's nothing better that kind of greases the wheels on conversation a little bit.
It's true.
Than a good beer.
It's true.
And it's about quality, not quantity. So we're talking quality beers. Very quickly, Brian, I wanted to ask you. Give us your favorite beer story.
Oh, my favorite beer story. Let's see here. Well, I don't know, I have to say, and we'll get into this a little bit later on in the show.
Yeah.
But when I was spending some time back in the early 2000s in Chiapas on a human rights delegation, it was a very interesting situation. A lot of us didn't know exactly what we were getting into. Crawling around San Cristobal de las Casas in Chiapas is a beautiful city. No more of a sort of a backpacker place. It's not necessarily your average tourist joint. And there are all sorts of little holes on the wall, all sorts of little bars and restaurants, family-run places. You can sit in, have a good, crisp lager. In some places you could get something very dark, you get a good ale, and eat some really good Mexican food. And I think that AJ is going to be talking a little bit more with us about that. And just, sitting there drinking with the guy that was my roommate for the trip, getting to know each other and sort of sizing up what we were getting ourselves into and what we thought we might be seeing when we actually went into one of the autonomous communities. It just facilitated the conversation. We bonded, we learned to look out for each other. And yeah, that's basically what I like.
Throw back a couple. Very quickly, we're going to take a break. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. We're going to talk more revolution in beer. We're going to talk a lot more beer, and we're definitely going to talk some food. We've got AJ Francisco coming up with some great food. He's already teased us with a little bit. Some amazing concoctions of guacamole that I just blew me away. I would have never thought of putting some of these things together. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. This is the Revolution in Beer Show. We'll see you in a few.
Cheers.
Got no cash, going nowhere, I'm going fast. This whole deal, it's just no good. Gonna get
Back. This is the
out.
Revolution Beer Show. Thanks for sticking with us. Find us on at revolutionofbeer.com, 900-pound gorilla WordPress blog.
And Permacult TV for me.
Permacult TV.
Permacult.tv.
Exactly, for all things environment and sustainability.
And the ecology of communications.
That too.
All that stuff.
All right. Coming up in just a few minutes, we'll have AJ out with some great food. We'll talk beer and food. Very quickly, we just wanted to kind of introduce people a little bit to us. We're not going to have much of a chance over the coming weeks. We've got a lot to cover. There's a lot going on in this city. There's a lot of things that we want to get you engaged in and see if we can make a difference in solving some of these issues. But very quickly, Brian and I are longtime activists. We've been at this a very long time. I was working back in 1989 with the freedom protesters in Tiananmen Square. I supported them here in Chicago. So we've been around this for a long time. Yeah. Brian, you were talking a little bit about Chiapas, and I was wondering if you'd go into a little bit more detail about what you were doing down there.
Sure. Back in 2004, I went on a human rights delegation. It was a joint delegation between the CASA Collective and Centro Autonomo, two really solid Chicago-based organizations. What we did was we went to San Cristobal de las Casas, which is sort of the central point of Chiapas, Mexico. Back in 1994, on the eve of NAFTA, the Zapatistas rose up and actually took over the city. And it was in protest to the coming wave of neoliberal economics that was about to wash through the southern part of this continent, known as South America. So we go to San Cristobal, and we visit a lot of different groups that are doing very interesting human rights observation work. They're teaching the indigenous people how to document human rights violations, track the military, and we probably visited 4 or 5 different organizations. And then on the third day, we took off for a 3-day trip into the Lacandon jungle, where we joined an autonomous community, an indigenous community that is splintered off from another large family, just like they would have, prior to Spanish colonialization. And they started their own community. They were under threat because this land was supposedly under the control of these land barons in Mexico. What we did was we sat by the shore in this really amazing community with a lot of little children, a lot of animals running around. Dogs in the jungle in Mexico are not like dogs that you find out anywhere in the States, unless they're mad. But these are pack animals, and they're great during the day, but they'll come after you at night. It was very interesting. What we did was every time we heard a boat go by on the river, we would go to the bank, and we would sit out front and show them that there were internationals there. There was an international presence, and that kept trouble from coming into that community and allowed them to exist there. So that was what my trip to Mexico was all about, and it was a real awakening for me. Definitely was, put back out of my comfort zone a couple of times at least, in a very big way. So.
Yeah, and actually, it's brilliant that you'd stepped out of your comfort zone. And that's one of the things that we're trying to do here. Is we're not asking you to step outside your comfort zone as far as Brian and I did. I went to war, was a witness to the genocide in Bosnia, and got involved in the Rwandan genocide as a relief worker. We're not asking people to do that. There's a lot of things that you can do here at home. There's a lot of things you can do from home to make a difference. And before we go to a break, again, throughout this series, we're going to provide for you links and ways that you can become active, ways that you can inform yourself and make a difference here. And that's really the key. You're the difference. I had someone a long time ago ask me during a speech on genocide, what can one person do? Jesus was one person. Gandhi was one person. Mother Teresa was one person. So one person can make a great difference. And that's what we're asking from you. So we'll give you those tools. We'll help you with those tools. There's a great community out there that you can engage. So we'll do that. So that said, we're going to take another break. When we come back, AJ's going to be here with the food, and we are dying to find out what he made for us. This is a Revolution and Beer Show. We will be right back in just a moment.
I need some food to balance this.
Absolutely. Go into a long, drawn-out introduction to our next guest. We met him at a friend's party,
his birthday party.
Exactly, in which he was doing fare for some hardcore vegans who can be pretty tough on their food. But I hear and smell some great stuff coming our way. So I'd like to introduce AJ Francisco, the Revolution and Beer chef, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh yeah,
AJ.
Whoa.
Oh my God, look at that.
That's some
Holy
sizzling
cow.
shrimp.
No pun intended, because it was beef. Unbelievable. Now this, you eat this or frame this?
This is how this guy eats.
Dude, there's
Yeah,
only two of
actually-
us, 3 of us actually.
I actually had the pleasure of being
Pass
able
this your
to
way, my friend.
hook up my tables next to this guy.
You don't sit down at the Revolution and Beer bar without a beer.
Thank you
Very
so
quickly.
much.
Yeah, man. Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers, thank you.
Have a seat here, buddy, and let's talk about this great food. I actually switched, and you've got it. We're doing that south of the border, that Mexican lager. Brian's still working on that hoppy ale.
Yeah.
The Latin hoppy ale. So
This is one of the ones I like.
absolutely. My God, man. Very quickly, AJ Francisco. Folks can find it at Francisco Catering on Facebook, but he's a caterer, a Le Cordon Bleu chef.
I did. That's where I went to school.
I went to a junior college, so I'm feeling a little left out here. He's also a consultant, restaurant consultant, and executive chef at Patron's Hacienda.
That's correct.
Yeah,
That's
in
correct.
River North.
Which is
Yes.
right here in the spot.
And I think I like the way that food now is being paired with beer. I think it's a great marriage.
Absolutely.
I think for too long everyone's been doing it with wine, but beer is a perfect pairing with it, especially now with all the craft brews. It's
You got great brewers in Chicago.
it's amazing.
I think Mexican food is, or South American, Central American food is a natural for beer. With the spices and all the different flavors we've got. I mean, I'm looking and smelling some amazing things, folks. I wish you could smell this, but
Check out our website. We'll have the smell posted.
Yeah, we'll scratch and sniff on the website, revolutionofbeer.com. But I'm looking at some of this, and instantly coming to mind some of these different flavors and textures here. Bring to mind a lot of different beer pairings. But tell us about the food you got. What inspired you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're starting with the guacamole trio. It's traditional guacamole we pair it one with fresh pineapple and pickled red onion. We pair it with one with jicama and fresh pomegranate.
That's brilliant, by the way. I tried a little bit of that earlier, and that was, I would have never thought of doing that. But the jicama and the pomegranate are just
Thank you
wonderful.
so much. And I think it's a great I think it's a great dish. We're also we're pairing it with a fresh mango, and I think especially with spring coming, I think the fruit pairs really well with so many beers. It's amazing. I like to generally go with a progression of beer. Maybe start with something crisp and light, and then as we delve into the entree, one of our top dishes. This is our skirt steak and jumbo shrimp fajitas. Like absolutely
beautiful.
Absolutely amazing. It's rich. It's a little bit spicy, and that would pair amazingly with so many beers as well.
Yeah.
Something a little maybe a little bit more complex. It'll just pair really well with, especially the steak, the sweet shrimp. It's quite a marriage.
Since you put this together, would you go with a heartier beer, or you just like some different levels to it?
With this one, I would maybe a medium one with maybe not too long a finish at the end. Maybe some IPAs. Maybe the bitterness might kind of linger too long on the tongue.
Yeah.
So maybe a medium one, but definitely a refreshing one. I think it pairs really well with the spice.
Like this lager.
Yes, I think it's a great choice for it.
Nice.
That's a good rich color on the lager too, which it's a far cry beyond what your general market schwill from the U.S. commodity system.
Absolutely, the half water, half beer.
How much rice is in there?
But this is an amazing beer. Tell us a little bit about how you got. What inspired you to become a chef?
I'm the eldest of three, and I've been cooking for my family ever since I could remember. My parents actually owned a restaurant, so I kind of grew up into the industry. And it's not till too long ago that I actually decided I really love to do this. Why am I not? I found out I could actually make a great living doing this, and I mean I'm happy with it. You're able to do some creative things and do things seasonally, do things with new ingredients every couple of months.
Before we go to a break here, real quick, and then we're going to get into some of this food. Yum. We're definitely going to get into some of this food. We'll be back in a moment, covered with this food probably. But very quickly, not just south of the border.
Aprons.
We were talking exactly. We were talking earlier about beer pairings with Oriental or Asian cuisine.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. There's been some wonderful ginger beers that have come out. I believe there are rice beers that they paired so amazingly with a lot of Asian food. Like, and I gravitate a little more towards the like the spicier food or like the bolder food, and it's not always it's not always like flavors. It's not always like a citrus goes with a citrus. Sometimes you look for something
Contrast.
bold. You need contrast, or you get a little citrus to cut a little bit of the heat or a little bit of the unctuousness and the fat. It's really
That's awesome.
it's
Let's take a quick
thing.
break. Again, AJ Francisco
Let's talk about this some more.
putting all this together for us.
You're
We will
very
be
welcome.
right back. We're going to get into some of this food. So join us. This is the Revolution and Beer Show. Thanks.
You'll never know what it's like standing in my shoes. But if you're calling at me, you're gonna find a fighter. Your camera's gazing down from cold surveillance towers. But in our darkest hours, it's only getting brighter. Fire's burning higher.
Welcome back to the show. We are talking with AJ Francisco about some of the great food he's put together for us. Gentlemen, a toast here on the very first show with our chef. Again, quickly tell us, remind us what we're about to dig into here, since it looks so beautiful. Right before we destroy it.
Okay. We have a guacamole trio here, one with fresh mango, one with fresh pomegranate and jicama, and one with fresh pineapple and pickled red onion. And to the side here, we have a skirt steak and jumbo shrimp fajitas. That's with grilled sweet onions, roasted tomatoes, and roasted poblano chiles. I would dig into it by...
Do folks know how to properly put together a fajita?
You know, I think some do, but if
A little tutorial would
Give us
wouldn't
the
hurt.
expert recommendation, my friend.
the way I would do it, I start with a fresh tortilla. I like to start it with maybe spreading a little bit of the beans
And
on
go
the
ahead, dig
bottom,
in, Brian.
if I may.
I'm gonna let him demonstrate because I'm gonna do it right.
Look at that.
Full experience
Oh my
here at
goodness.
Patrons House.
We make everything from scratch here, so
Yeah.
I think you're really
And
gonna enjoy
refried
it.
greens are the key. Having failed miserably at making them myself a few times, it's a key to making great Mexican food.
Well, maybe AJ can help you out with it.
Yeah, maybe I'll just enjoy what he does.
Yes.
All right.
I'll take care of it. I love our skirt steak. It's very
Yeah.
tender. I would start with maybe with a slice of maybe one or
Nice.
two slices of this,
I'm following your lead, pal.
and then some of our grilled wonderful vegetables. The roast poblanos at a nice little heat without being too much.
And I can
think.
smell those poblanos. It really adds kind of this earthiness comes to mind, but that might be the wrong
Yeah,
adjective.
I think the poblanos lend a smokiness and a
Smokiness, thank you.
great freshness to it. I roasted them, but I still left a little bit of crunch.
You got some
To
tomato
it,
in here too.
Yeah, please. I think it'll pair really well with this beer because of the little bit of heat.
Yeah,
The crispiness of it. I love how
we're gonna find out.
I love how
And
refreshing
the-
this beer is.
And then the rice.
Oh yeah, please. Maybe a little of our Chihuahua cheese, our
Oh my goodness!
fresh arroz. Like it's really nice.
I gotta say that skirt steak just melts.
It's like butter.
It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Thank you so much.
So, Patrons Hacienda here obviously focuses on Latin American food, Mexican food.
Yes,
you want
sir.
to tell us a little bit about your passion for that and why Mexican food?
I started. I've started cooking with food I was familiar with, say Pan Asian food. Then I developed a love for Italian food. Then through school I was French trained classically, but Latin food is just something as of late, and I have just fallen in love with it. I think what I like about it the most is the boldness of it. It's rather than very subtle
Yeah.
flavors that are married together. you're marrying them together, but these are explosive, bold flavors. I think if you can balance them just right, it makes for a great dining experience. Like, I always like going right to the edge with, you know, the tart is offset by a little bit of the sweet, and then the sweet is tames down a little bit of the spicy, and like just the way it works, it's like a symphony, and it's something I love to play with. And I'm in love with the big bold flavors with it. I think recently Mexican food has been elevated and appreciated for more than just late night burritos or tacos. We can
Such a broad spectrum.
Yeah, it can be, and I mean, and then the regions in Mexico, like I'm in love with all the tequilas, the mole from Oaxaca, like just certain regions that specialize in specific types of food.
There were several of us in Chiapas that were on a mission to pick up some real mole.
Absolutely.
We were down there for people that were going to disown us if we didn't.
And actually, I'd like to talk about that in a later show. The one thing before we go, because we've only got a few moments left here. Do you want to give folks a little bit of a secret to making great guacamole?
Use the absolute freshest ingredients. Don't be too shy with where you're going. You can always adjust it, but rather than just a little sprinkle of cilantro, I like to use a good amount of it. Rather than just a little dusting of salt, maybe a little bit more. I mean, you could always fix it, but I suggest going a little aggressively.
And the fruit on top too. I mean, fruit always complements avocado and guacamole really well.
Really does.
If you stir it in, you're going to get that degradation process is going to happen a little faster because everyone knows guac turns quick. So it's really a great presentation to really incorporating the fruit, putting it on top out front. It's beautiful.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This was wonderful, folks. Thank you for joining us. I wanted to thank AJ and Brian, of course, for a great conversation. That's what it's all about. It's not about the fight.
It's about the solution.
Absolutely. We'll see you again on the next Revolution in Beer show for great food, great beer, and some great discussions, some great topics. Until then, here's to the holidays.
All 365 of them.
Gentlemen, this is
Salud.
We don't wanna burn it down. Yeah, we just need a little revolution. You'll never know what it's like standing in my shoes. But if you corner me, you're gonna find a fighter.